Hello and welcome back to the Lumin Weekly Q&A. Here we are, on the couch again, with Nero. Some questions, and the worst possible lighting. I've got like a white bulbed lamp on that side, then there's nothing above my head, and then over there is a yellow bulb in the ceiling. They just don't survive. Every time we switch the lights on here, another one of the bulbs in the ceiling just fizzles. So, I apologize about the lighting, and there's echo in here too. That's quite bad. The room isn't empty, but the carpets are gone, so for some reason that just makes the entire room sound like a warehouse or something. But I've got a few notes written down here before the questions, and they're mostly just that I had to mention that I'm going to do another Guild Wars 2 impressions vlog soon. I didn't want to do that today because Nero's going to serious sleep mode here. It's time for a nap. That's good. It's a good time to nap. He was actually chewing a hoof here, and it's probably better if he doesn't chew while I'm trying to answer questions. But there's another Guild Wars 2 video coming out. It's going to be another vlog style video. I'm going to talk about a few other things that I didn't cover in the previous one. Things like PvP. I had a very limited experience with PvP, but I can't talk about it. I meant to say PvP. I'm trying to talk too fast here and it's not working. It's unintentional. I'm not trying to talk fast, it's just happening. But yeah, when there are too many P's next to each other, it just makes it difficult to say. Anyway, so PvP, latency, because a lot of people actually had questions about the latency, and it's funny, I'm not going to talk about it. No, I'm not going to talk about it now. You have to wait for that video for that, and I will get that out in the next day or two. So that's going to be, instead of a vlog in the next day or two, that will come out, and there's a ton of other stuff coming out too. I've got the coolest Guild Wars video coming out as well. Like, it's got in-game stuff in it, but I'm not going to spoil it. It's coming also in the next day or two. I didn't want to release it on April the 1st because that would have been a joke in and of itself. That would have been a terrible idea. So I didn't want to do that. You're going to have to wait for it. Probably, we were actually discussing it, and I think Tuesday is the best day to release that. And other than that, lots of other stuff happening. Some really cool stuff with some slightly scary games that I'm not going to mention yet because I want it to be a surprise. I think it's probably better if it's a surprise. So wait for that. We're going to jump straight into the big questions. And funny enough, coffee. Haha, okay. Got my purple mug here. You probably can't see it's purple with the hideous amalgamation of lighting going on here. And it's lukewarm. I don't know if that's good or not. I'll put it down here. So, I'm actually starting with Guild Wars questions. And these are ones that I probably wouldn't have wanted to answer in my impressions video, so I decided to just answer it here. First question. This is from Firestorm123, and will you be pre-ordering Guild Wars 2 on April the 10th to get into beta events? Are you looking forward to playing Guild Wars 2 after it comes out? So those two questions, I can just say yes and yes. I have actually sort of pre-ordered already. I've got like my copy secured. That's all I can really say. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be paying for it, but I honestly don't care because the stuff in that Guild Wars Collector's Edition just looks so amazing. Even if I had to save for like a year and a half to get it, I'd do that. Or if I had to be paying it off for the next year and a half or 2 years or whatever. So it looks amazing. So yes, definitely Collector's Edition. But I know a lot of people are going to have problems with how much it's going to cost. They released the price in the international pricing, and I was actually slightly shocked, but the amount of stuff they give you is really cool. But still, I'm not sure what the pricing is going to be like in South Africa, so I can't answer that for the South Africans. But I'm still very interested, and yes, I'm going to be playing it. Definitely. Watch my next impressions video, watch my previous impressions video if you don't know what I think about the game, because I think the game's amazing. Then, what Guild Wars 2 class and race are you going to be playing? I am not sure about the race yet, because I've yet to try Sylvari and Asura, but you know, the Sylvari, can they be an engineer? If they can't, I think all the races can be all the classes. But I'm going to be trying engineer out first. And it's funny that I'm actually saying that now because I haven't actually tried any of the other classes. In the beta weekend, I jumped into engineer, I stayed on engineer, and I played a terrible performance. Okay, a lot of you know that already. But I stayed on engineer and I thought to myself, this is the class that I like. This is probably going to be the class that I'm going to be playing when the game launches. I was thinking of ranger, but I don't know. I like the guns. I really like the guns. I like shooting stuff with pistols and rifles and stuff like that. So I kind of want to use that. I want to play engineer, and if I don't play Asura, then I'm going to be playing human. So it'll be between those two. I don't think I'll go Sylvari because honestly, in my opinion, it just doesn't fit with engineer, and I'm going to be going engineer. So there you go. Then this one, that was actually from Ulqui 101. Ulqui? I think I could just say it Ulqui. It's ULQUI 101. Then, next question is from Beluga 7 Whale. Very interesting nickname, and this is a South African. He says, he's also South African. If you find out where, if it's possible, I'll be able to pre-purchase the game from a store. Please share. Then he says they'll probably give out this information on the 10th. I do actually know which stores are going to be getting physical copies of the game. It's going to be 2 online stores in the form of Kalahari.com. It used to be Kalahari.net, I think. Maybe it's still Kalahari.net. Who knows? But Kalahari, you'll know Kalahari. And Take A Lot. It used to be Take Two. Those are the 2 South African online retailers that'll be selling it. And I think they sold out already because it's not on their sites anymore. I actually looked this morning. And the only other place you might have luck is BT Games. BT Games is the only other store locally that's going to be selling it. They're going to have launch events and all that stuff. They usually do that kind of thing. And I've actually confirmed this with the guys who are sending the game out in the country, with the people from Megarom. It's those 3. They might add more, but I very much doubt it because I think the numbers on the collector's editions are very limited. But that's it for the Guild Wars questions. Remember, Guild Wars Impressions vlog or video coming out in the next day or 2. Check it out. Now, here is the biggest question of the week, and it's an interesting one. This is from BobTGoldfish. I think you guys sort of expected it to come from him. And it's about James Bond. And that's good. Okay, I don't mind talking about James Bond. I never mind talking about James Bond. So firstly, his first question is quite long, but it's a... I'm just letting that sink in. Okay, she's sitting right there and she's making a noise. It looks like a paper cutter that she's busy clicking out. It's fine. Nero doesn't seem to care, so I'm going to do the same and not care. She can carry on. It's fine. Just do it. Okay, so his first question. I can't believe you thought Daniel Craig made an excellent Bond. Those were awful Bond movies. Now, I've got a lot to say about that. So yes, they were actually awful Bond movies, but they were actually really decent action movies. And now, that's where I don't really mind sort of disagreeing with you, like, or going against you, because I say that he is firstly a pretty good actor. He's not a bad looking guy. I will agree that, I must actually just check if you say anything else about this. Maybe I should first read what you say here. Don't get me wrong, they were excellent spy secret agent movies. Actually, this is just what I said. They were just crappy Bond movies. There's a difference between the two. Yes, there really is. Bond movies have certain elements. The playful exchanges with Moneypenny, the sweet gadgets and encounters with Q or R in the later movies, the sweet cars, Bond girls with sexual innuendo-laden names, yes, exotic locations and slightly over-the-top villains. So yes, I agree. I agree that the latest Bond movies, they tried to modernize them in some way that I don't fully understand, but I do fully agree that they weren't really good Bond movies. But they did have pretty sweet cars in them. The gadgets were okay, there were less of them, and they weren't quite as over the top as they were in the other movies. But I think that it was a very decent action movie, and you're like on the edge of your seat throughout the entire movie. He's not a Bond-like character though. Daniel Craig isn't really Bond-like, and the movie was much more raw than the previous ones. That's a terrible word to use, but it was actually much more raw than the previous ones. That's the best way of explaining it. And I don't have anything against that. I watched it and I actually agree fully with you. I didn't see a Bond movie, but I still had a really enjoyable experience. And at the same time, what I think makes it an okay Bond movie is that they're really covering the entire spectrum with the Bond movies now. So if you, in 10 years from now, manage to pick up the entire Bond collection on, what are they going to be using in 10 years' time? On some sort of data storage device, because they're not going to be using DVDs. Maybe they will be. Maybe they'll be using Blu-rays, some advanced version of Blu-rays, maybe just something else, like a flash drive. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. If they release the full like collection of Bond movies, And you've got all the older, like Timothy Dalton, Sean Connery, Pierce Brosnan, which we're going to talk about now. And then you've got Daniel Craig in there as well. And then you've maybe got the next Bond, who perhaps takes it back to the older style of Bond movies. Then you'll have a nice collection of movies to watch because you'll have a wide variety of styles. And I do feel that the movies had different styles over the years. Now, the different actors played the role differently, and we're going to also talk about that in just a second. But that's the reason I like it. I think that if you watch all the movies, you're going to get you're going to get different experiences from all of them. And I think it sort of fits with the times, the way that Daniel Craig played it. In like the 90s and I think it was early 2000 when Pierce Brosnan did it, you had a totally different style. And then after that, a couple of years later when Daniel Craig took it over, it changed again. And that's the only reason I really think it's good. And the fact that I personally like Daniel Craig as an actor, maybe not as a James Bond, but as an actor, so that alone made it an enjoyable experience. But now, moving on. Not next, but moving on. The movies that Craig starred in have little to none of that stuff, basically. And he says it's like someone at the studio wanted to make the Batman Begins version of James Bond. And yes, they actually said that. They wanted to reboot the series, which I feel wasn't a good way of doing it. But I'm not a director. I don't make choices like that on a day-to-day basis. And these guys probably won't be for very long either. But I do know that there's actually another Bond movie coming out, and it's called Skyfall? Skyfall? I think it's called Skyfall, and that really sounds quite cool. The word Skyfall is nice, but it's got Daniel Craig in again, and who knows, maybe it'll be good. But let's carry on. Okay, so then you say stripping away all the tongue-in-cheek, everything that made a Bond movie, and the results were what we got. So yes, you could remove the name James Bond and replace Jason Bourne or Ethan Hunt, and the movies would be exactly the same. And that's actually... And you actually say here, Bob says here, still good flicks, okay? And that's true. They were good movies, but maybe they weren't the best of Bond movies. They were probably some of the worst Bond movies, but I still enjoyed the movies, the experience of watching them. But moving on, his second part of his question. You said you were a Sean Connery guy, right? Yes, I absolutely am. I love Sean Connery. He's probably one of the most glorious actors. And I mean, glorious is the perfect word, or grand. Also a really good word to describe Sean Connery. That guy, he's a legend. Now, I just want to talk about best Bond V's... What? Oh, okay, favorite Bond movie. Okay, now... I'm a Pierce Brosnan guy, Bob says. Brosnan was the total package when it comes to Bond for me. Sure, he had some crappy scripts and movies, but as Bond, he put it all together. My first intro to Bond was the novels, so I always looked to Bond as the quintessential English gentleman. So while Connery had the look, he wasn't English, he was Scottish. So Sean Connery, okay, he definitely made a good Bond, but I personally... Before I go on any further here, what Bob does here is he gives a little bit of a description about the Bond or what he thinks about the different actors that played Bond. But I'll say now, on the topic of Pierce Brosnan, I was introduced to James Bond with Pierce Brosnan. The first movie came out in what was like, from him, was like 99 or late 90s, okay? And... he was the first real Bond that I saw. Before that, I mean, I was young back then, and before that I didn't watch the Bond movies because there was a big gap between the Pierce Brosnan versions and the previous guy who played them, which I'm not even sure. Was it Sean Connery? It might not even have been Sean Connery, but there was a big gap there. And he was the first Bond that I saw, and because of that, that's how I grew up watching Bond movies. I watched all his Bond movies, every single one of them, before I saw Sean Connery playing James Bond, which is kind of weird, but at the same time, that's why when I think James Bond, I also picture Pierce Brosnan. I don't actually picture Sean Connery, but I have to say that I like Sean Connery as James Bond. And I think he has that tongue-in-cheek humor, and he makes it work. And actually, you actually mentioned the bad scripts, and he had some really good scripts. The older Bond movies, they were written better. The stories, and I'm not sure if it was just because the directors back then knew how to turn a book into a movie properly or make it work. I don't know what it was, but it felt to me like when I watched those movies, and I was slightly older when I watched them, so maybe the appreciation factor was higher, but when I watched them, I just thought to myself, well, this is a much better movie. I mean, I do agree that Pierce Brosnan not played Bond better, but he is still, to me, the perfect James Bond in that sense. Okay, he definitely looks the part, and I don't know when that was the perfect. I say time. That was Nero kicking his chew toy onto the ground. That was the perfect time period to have a James Bond movie in, because the technology was at a point where everything just worked, and the gadgets were not too out there to be unbelievably advanced, but they sort of felt just right. So I personally really do agree with the fact that Bond and Pierce Brosnan are sort of synonymous. But on the note of Pierce Brosnan, he made some other really good movies. One movie that I really enjoyed was Seraphim Falls, but Seraphim Falls was actually probably a really bad movie, but it was a Western. So I was kind of taken away. Like, it was just really amazing to me. I have a thing for Westerns, and it was good. He was this grizzled old war veteran in the movie, and he played the part quite well. Okay, so now you gave your thoughts on the Bond character or the Bond actors. George Lazenby, the less said about him, the better. Yes, he played one Bond movie as far as I remember, and he actually said before going into it that he's only going to play this one Bond movie. So I actually kind of sort of dislike him on that fact alone. So let's not talk about him. Why would you not want to? Never mind. Wait. Roger Moore put the voice back in and had a little bit of the look, but his movies got a little bit too slapstick at times. I didn't actually watch any Roger Moore Bond movies, and I feel kind of bad about that, but I will get to them. I think we've got the entire Bond collection somewhere. If we don't have it, my parents might have it somewhere, but I will actually go back and watch these. Timothy Dalton, again, great voice and look, but he lacked some of the sophistication that Bond needed. It's actually true. I did see one Timothy Dalton movie, and he was slightly more brutish when he played Bond. But at the same time, maybe he was the Daniel Craig from back then. Who knows? Who knows? But he was okay. I don't think he was bad. Daniel Craig isn't really playing Bond. Also, he's blonde. Bond is not. I kind of didn't get that. When they first said that Daniel Craig's going to be Bond, I thought to myself, okay, well, so they're dyeing his hair. And they letting him grow it out a little bit, because it always feels to me like, because he's got blonde hair, it looks like he's got very little hair. And I always saw Bond as having the Pierce Brosnan hairstyle. Maybe because, like I said, I grew up watching Pierce Brosnan. But anyway, yeah. So we did discuss Daniel Craig in great length. I feel that Brosnan has put all of it together at his best: the voice, the look, the sophistication, and yeah, Bob says once again, he's a Brosnan guy. So that's not to say that his favorite Bond movie is a Brosnan movie. That honor goes to, surprise, surprise, Goldfinger. Closely followed by GoldenEye and The Man with the Golden Gun. Sensing the theme? Yes, I am. So I also like Goldfinger, and that's one of those that I actually did see. I think. And the reason I watched Goldfinger is a funny one. I actually watched Austin Powers' Golden Member, and then I thought to myself, well, this is actually I not thought to myself, I read that it was based on a Bond movie, and I thought to myself, well, it would make much more sense if I go back and watch the Bond movie. And funny enough, Austin Powers was actually very true to the original. It's really funny, but I can't say I'm the biggest Austin Powers fan, but the guy's funny. Mike Myers is funny, and because I watched Austin Powers, I was curious, and then I went back to watch Goldfinger, and the movie was actually really good. I will agree that it was one of the better ones, but my favorite Bond movie is, like you say here as well, GoldenEye, because it's actually the first one that I watched. The first Brosnan movie that I watched, and I thought it was just absolutely amazing. The reason for that, I have to say, and actually I shouldn't say it yet because I think this is your next question. So, what is your favorite Bond movie and why? And then he also asks, who is your favorite Bond villain? And that's actually most definitely GoldenEye, my favorite Bond movie. And at the same time, the villain in GoldenEye was Sean Bean. And I think Sean Bean makes the best villain ever. That guy was born, or he sort of went into acting to play villains and play them well. I really liked him playing the bad guy in GoldenEye. I think he did an amazing job. So I suppose there are probably better ones out there, but that was my favorite. GoldenEye the movie, and the villain Sean Bean. His name was, actually you mentioned it here, didn't you? Hold on. His name was Alec. And I just think he is the entire package when it comes to villains. That guy just looks like a villain. So I personally think he's my favorite villain, and that's my favorite movie. What I really liked about the Alec / Janice character in GoldenEye, I still have a soft spot for... he says he has a soft spot for Francisco Scaramanga from... he was Christopher Lee. Oh, actually, never mind. He was played by Christopher Lee, yes, in The Man with the Golden Gun. But for some reason, he has the anti-Bond-like characters. He has a like for anti-Bond-like characters. I'm really bad at reading, sorry. And this text is tiny. I don't know how to really make it bigger. Oh, there we go. Wait. Pinch. That's all I need to do. Okay, so I've got it bigger now. Now I should have much less problems. And now I'm at the end of the question. Wow. I messed that one up. So then Bob also just says, he'll let me get back to answering questions that aren't as long as this one. Thank you, Bob. I hope I answered your questions, though, because that was a very long couple of paragraphs for 2 questions. But there you go. Okay, so he gave us some background, and the 2 questions were the villain and the movie, and I got them. I nailed them. That's it. Done. Now, next question. Now there are a bunch of smaller questions, but some of these are slightly longer than others. The first one is from DDDD5555512332. That's his nickname. And it's a bit tough. I'll just call him D because it makes it much easier. He says, where do you see yourself in the future? Hopefully, I see myself in pretty much the same conditions that I'm in now. I'm not sure where, in which location, but I want to still be making videos. I still want to be enjoying myself, and I will definitely be with Nero Puppy and her. She doesn't need a name. It's fine. Now, here's an interesting one. So, I didn't actually write down who asked this question, did I? Oh, here we go. Okay, this was from Mr. Undertaker. In the last Mass Effect video, you mentioned Goku and Vegeta. So, yes, I watched Dragon Ball Z. I watched every single episode of Dragon Ball Z out there, and I enjoyed it. Dragon Ball Z was enjoyable, but the question was, I wonder whether you liked anime or manga. I don't really like manga. Manga is the sort of like cartoony type stuff, right? It's like, she just said something. What did you say? I don't know what she's saying. She's just mouthing a word and I can't really... But anime or manga? And if so, which one? If not, tell me why. I like anime. Okay, I do like anime. And when I was slightly younger, a couple of years ago, I watched a lot more anime than I do now. I don't actually watch any anime now. I'm actually excited for the next Eureka 7 series that's coming out. That was one of my favorite animes. And I don't know what else I really liked, because the thing is, there were so many. I watched a ton. And big ones that really sticked out to me, one of my personal favorite series ever is Cowboy Bebop. Okay, Spike Spiegel is amazing. And that entire series was just really, really good. Trigun, I watched that at pretty much the same time as Cowboy Bebop. I was trying to remember the name. It's going to be tough to try and remember them. Full Metal Alchemist is really good. Really, really good. Full Metal Panic was good. I enjoyed that. Lost Exile, Razefon, Evangelion. Evangelion everyone should just like. I mean, you can't not like it. It's crazy, it's out there, but it's very good. It's like the mommy of all anime. I don't know what else really. But, and Eureka 7, obviously, as I mentioned. Elfen Lied was really weird and a little bit freaky and messed up, but that was quite good as well. But yes, I watched a lot of anime, and I've got a very like wide variety of tastes when it comes to anime. But if I had to give one favorite, I would probably lean towards Cowboy Bebop, because it had that little bit of futuristic stuff in. It was sort of Western in some ways. It felt like a Western because Spike Spiegel was a cowboy. He's like, I was a cowboy, okay? Bit of an adventurer, but mainly a cowboy, like a space cowboy, because it was called Cowboy. Anyway, and it was amazing. Okay, and then that's pretty much the question right there. Love it. I watched a lot of anime, and if another really good season of something starts up that I watch, I'm not into Naruto and Bleach because I sort of liked it when they started up, both of them, but they just got too much. There was just too much going on, or too little going on, too many episodes. Perhaps that was the problem. Didn't really enjoy them very much. Then, next question. This one is very long, and it's from AMB2219. Oh, AMB221989. Okay, that might be it. You mentioned that you played older Tribes games. Did you play the original Star Siege Tribes? More specifically, did you play TAC, Team Aerial Combat? No, I didn't. He says there was a mod for Tribes and it was absolutely amazing. There was a clan of South Africans with the clan tag AK, and the main server that hosted the mod was in South Africa for quite some time, till the US got their own. Okay, that's interesting. Actually, did international people play on that server as well? I don't know. Main reason I asked this is because it was quite close. It was quite a close-knit group of people that played, and there were only a few servers. I think it was still sort of underground back then. But then again, online gaming was, especially for FPS games, wasn't that big back then. Because that was a while ago. Okay. And then, let's see, it would be glorious if we had played together. And apparently he's 22 now, but it still remains to be one of his all-time favorite FPS games. And he played it way back in 1998. Okay, so to answer your question, I didn't play TAC, I did play the original Tribes. We actually played a really cool RPG mod or something for it. I'm not sure if it was the server or if it was actually a mod, but I played that and it was so much fun. I don't know why I enjoyed it, but you could go like into dungeons and kill stuff for experience, level your character, and that was really fun. And then we just played normal team deathmatch type stuff with all the different modes that it had. But I sort of played that quite a bit, but I played a lot of Tribes 2 as well, which wasn't quite as good, and Tribes Vengeance, in my opinion, wasn't that great either. But yes, I played them, and I'm so keen for Tribes Ascend, and I'm so sad that I can't play it, because of like various latency-related reasons. If they get South African servers for Tribes Ascend, I'll be able to play on them, but I tried to play online, I tried to play on the UK servers, and it's impossible. It is unplayable. I will stay composed. It's unplayable because that was bad. I'm not supposed to be breathing my coffee in, but anyway, it was bad because had like 200 to 260 ping, I think, MS, and it's not nice playing an FPS game with that kind of latency. Because if you want to shoot something, then the guy's running here and he's running this way and you have to shoot here to hit him, and it's way too much thought that has to go into it and way too much prediction that has to go into it to make it work. At most, it's probably okay playing it with under 100 latency, but above that, it gets too much. So, my phone has locked itself. I hope that answers your question. Next up, after the release of the new Mr. Pandaria videos, what are your thoughts on heroic revamps? Also, any news on the Heart of the Swarm edition of StarCraft? I know you have your inside sources. This is from Steve Mojo. Firstly, I don't really have any information on Heart of the Swarm. I don't think it's going to release this year. That's my personal opinion. I think that if they push Diablo out and Mr. Pandaria out by the end of the year, Mr. Pandaria, honestly, I was under the impression that Heart of the Swarm would come out before Pandaria, but now it is actually looking like Pandaria will come out before Heart of the Swarm. We'll have to wait and see about that though. They might release some information soon, but honestly, we might not see it this year, which is sad, because that would actually still allow them to hit their goal of 2 big releases this year. So, Now, Mr. Pandaria. I think the heroic revamps are nice because they revamp in, once again, favorites of players. I'm all for revamping older content as long as it's not there. I mean, it's not there instead of other content. So as long as they're releasing a bunch of really cool Mr. Pandaria content, like instances, zones, all that kind of stuff, I'm totally okay with them revamping the old heroics because it doesn't take as much development time. It ends up being quite enjoyable, and it's just something that it's quite fun to enjoy. You get nostalgic. You know, you can go back, do Scholarmance and Scarlet. And the Scarlet instances were, in my opinion, some of the best instances in the game. So I'm happy that they redid it. I mean, when they redid Dead Mines and stuff, I was also happy about that. I think those are amazing instances. So yes, totally happy about that. And then the next question, when Mr. Pandaria comes out, will you be doing playthroughs? And will you be checking out all the new content? So I'm not sure when it actually comes out if I'll be playing it much. I'll probably play all the content through once. I might do the dungeons or instances a few times at max level. I might try the new battlegrounds and stuff. The scenarios sound really interesting. So I'll probably put out some content, but honestly, I'm at the moment probably more excited for Guild Wars. I'm not really sure they're going to be coming out around the same time, but who knows? We'll have to see. I think it all depends on when Mr. Pandaria actually releases. If it's at the end of the year, then I might actually have a lot of time to do it. Who knows? Next question. That was from Killerstick1, by the way. Since you're a big sci-fi fan, what are your favorite games of all time? My favorites are Freelancer, along with the X series. I'm not sure what that is, but this is from either One Mayat or Imayat. It's Imaayt or One Maait. I'm not sure. I'm bad with names. Some of my favorite games, it's tough. There are a lot of games that I enjoy. Okay, if you're asking sci-fi games or just all games in general, because if I had to say all games in general, then it's going to be much easier to answer, because I can just say a bunch of series that I like. The Ultima series, the Final Fantasy series, the Pokemon series. Gotta love Pokemon. We actually charged our 3DS, and I'm gonna be playing Pokemon soon. Most definitely. And you have to excuse if I'm talking funny right now. I actually recorded like 2.5 hours worth of gameplay commentary today. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy, but it was worth it because I got some really cool videos done, and I hope you guys watch them. All of them. But Final Fantasy series like Mass Effect, Baldur's Gate, what else is there? I'm not really sure. Fallout was really good. Even the older ones of them, like, that's sort of sci-fi, isn't it? But Fallout 1 and 2 were so good. Fallout 3 was amazing as well. And a lot of people, I think there's actually a question around here. Are you going to do a Fallout? Oh, there it is. It's the next question. Also from Killistic. Ever thought about doing a Fallout New Vegas playthrough? Look, I would have loved to have done it when it came out, but right now it doesn't make sense going back to it. I'd rather wait for a new Fallout to come out. I did play Fallout New Vegas quite a bit. I played more Fallout 3. I actually finished Fallout 3 and I enjoyed it immensely. It was an amazing game. All the Fallout games are just so good and I can't wait for another one to come out. But, you know, as for like favorite games, that's pretty much answers it. The ones that I mentioned, I'm playing Chrono Trigger on my phone right now. That's so good. I'm enjoying it immensely as well. It's amazing. I can't say that something like StarCraft was my favorite game or game series because I didn't really play very much StarCraft 1. StarCraft 2 is really good right now, but yeah, that sort of answers it. Ultima and Final Fantasy were two of the big like names in my youth, as long with Baldur's Gate, of course. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, too good. So that answers that. Have you ever heard of a game called ArcAge? Check out some gameplay videos and such, blah blah blah. I really think you and Ride Panda will enjoy it. This is from Spinal Touch. I watched the Yogscast videos on it and it's too Korean for me. Okay, it's all about grinding and it has some really cool ideas and mechanics, but I personally, once again, will rather just wait for Guild Wars, wait for even Mr. Pandaria. I'll probably play above that, but it does look good. Someone's making some really nice food out there. This window's open and I'm smelling some food. I'm gonna have to go eat something big after this, something really tasty. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet, but I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat it good. I don't know what. What will I eat? Peanut butter? No, I can't have peanut butter again. I'm not sure. We have these really amazing Easter eggs, and I'm not going to talk about them because there's a question that relates to that. I'm quite sure I saw a question. So wait. You wait about that. I know you guys are wondering about the Easter eggs right now. You're going to have to wonder about them for the next 5 to 10 minutes, at least. Then, Captain C Blocker asks, have you ever played Nox? It's a very fun game, but very old. It's actually not that old. What is it, 90 something? 90, sorry boy. Sorry, that was my mug. 90 something? And yes, I played Nox. It's a top-down action RPG type thing. And at the same time, it reminds me a lot of Arcanum, but it's a more action-based game than RPG. Like, if I remember correctly, the combat was very quick, like very fast-paced and stuff. I didn't play it very much, but I did play it a bit. Another RPG that's very weird and that sort of had a lasting impression on me Mainly because it was one of the first RPGs that I bought with my own money back a while ago that someone didn't get for me, was Revenant. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I've got the box up in my cupboard and I'm actually going to reinstall it sometime soon. But that game was very weird. It was a nice 3D, really, really decent visuals. 3D top-down RPG. By 3D I mean like the engine was actually 3D. And it was very underrated, I feel. The same goes for a game called Silver, if you guys ever played that. That was more like Final Fantasy, like an action-based Final Fantasy, but those two games. If you want to see something interesting, Google Silver and Revenant. Very cool. I'm not sure if they were critically acclaimed or if they won any awards or if they were actually good in any way, but they were enjoyable to me. And now for some reason my phone scrolled all the way back up. It's been really silly. Then, next. That was from Captain C Blocker. Almost forgot you said you had a PS3. So do you have anything? Do you have something from God of War series or Kingdom Hearts series? If to tell us, or if you like them or whatever. Basically, WowNo asked if I like those games or if I can give us my review on them. If not, would you like to play them? And sadly, it's going to be if not, and I would like to play them. Sadly, because our PlayStation doesn't play games retroactively or whatever, I can't play PlayStation 2 games. I do know that God of War is out. The God of War collection is out for PS3, so we're probably going to pick that up when it goes on special or something. We're very stingy when it comes to PlayStation games because it costs us 600 or 700 rand to get a PlayStation game new in South Africa, and it's very rare that I go out and spend that much on a game nowadays. So we wait for the games to go on special because there's no reason to rush into it. They're going to be there. I've got a ton of games that I still need to play. I've got Uncharted 1, 2, and is there a third one? 3? I don't know. We've got Uncharted. I've got a Final Fantasy that I need to finish, which is Final Fantasy... Is it 12 or 13? 13. 12 was the weird half open worldy one. It was 13 with lightning and all that. Really cool. But we've got a lot of games we need to finish. So I don't rush into getting PlayStation 3 games. But I would like to play them. Yes, very much so. I've only heard good things about both those games. And I've got a Kingdom Hearts t-shirt. So I fully endorse that game. Thumbs up from me. Next. This is a tough one. Okay. What's the saddest game moment you've ever experienced? Personally, mine is Dom's death in Gears of War 3. I've actually heard a lot of people saying that, and I didn't play Gears of War 3. I'm not an Xbox guy. I'm a PlayStation guy, as I just said it. But if I had an Xbox, I'd probably play Gears of War. Now, you just spoiled Gears of War for a bunch of people that don't have Xboxes. Naughty. Who asked this? Hold on. Who asked this? Wait. Where is it? Shh. Hold on. Loved Game for Life. Cool nickname. That's from you. So, saddest moment. Spoilers incoming. For those of you that like the Final Fantasy series. I was very saddened when I played Final Fantasy 7 and Aerith or Eris dies. She's actually got both those names, I think. Sephiroth kills her. That was sad. But at the same time, it was expected. I kind of saw it coming, but it was still quite sad. It's impossible not to be sad. Okay? And then another one that was even more touching, in my opinion, to me, I suppose because I was older at the time and I sort of understood what was going on better, was in Final Fantasy X. It's funny that both of them come from the Final Fantasy series, but Final Fantasy X, the ending scene or the end of the game, where Tidus is sort of busy, and he's busy hugging Yuna. That was quite bad as well. That was sad. Bad and sad. More sad than bad, but you know what I mean. Okay, you know what I mean. That was touching. Okay, and it just scrolled up again. Why must you be so silly, iPhone? Okay, so that pretty much answers your question. There was another sad moment that I had recently that I'm not going to talk about because it'll spoil it for you guys, but you will see it if you watch my gameplay videos the next day or two. But it was quite sad because I'm not going to talk about it. Okay, next. What's your favorite game romance of all time? I can't answer that. I didn't have any really good romances in games. I would probably go with Final Fantasy again. Like any of them. Any of the Final Fantasy games I played, Final Fantasy VIII I played a lot of, and I felt that the romance was very stiff in that. Like, it was very rigid. Renoa and Squall, you could see that there was something happening there, but the characters in that game always felt so cold, in some ways at least, that the romance just didn't feel real. Then you had this triangular love thing going on in Final Fantasy VII, this love triangle between Tifa, Cloud, and Aerith, and that was actually pretty cool as well. But I wouldn't go and say that I like the romances from Dragon Age, or The Witcher maybe has romances. I don't know, I never played The Witcher. I should play it, shouldn't I? I actually saw Jesse Cox was going to Poland to check out The Witcher Enhanced Edition. It's funny that they spend so much time and effort on just enhancing The Witcher 2, but I might pick that up when it comes out to give it a try. Anyway, game romances, not that much going on there for me. Maybe I'll say that I like Chrono Trigger, you know? I like Chrono's romance with... How can I forget her name? The girl wearing the white, the one that you bump into in the start of the game. What is her name? Mol. Her name's Mol. There you go. Is it? I think it's Mol. Yes. I kept the default names, of course. I didn't call Chrono Lumin because I kind of like the whole story. I like it staying intact. Okay? So the lead character has to be called Chrono in Chrono Trigger. That's a fact. Okay. Now, that was also from Love to Game for Life. This one is from Molda22. Oh man, I should have put this higher up. This is, I know you like anime and manga. Manga, I'd never got so much into, but I love anime. And I would like to know if you saw the masterpiece named Princess Mononoke. And yes, I did. I watched it, and it was absolutely amazing. Before I even read the rest of this, he says it's one of the best movies he ever saw. Perfect atmosphere, story, great music and visuals. Even the voice acting and everything else was good. And yes, Princess Mononoke was really, really good. That was the movie of the wolves, if you guys didn't know it. The wild girl and the wolves. But at the same time, there was so much going on in that movie. It was quite moving. At the same time, though, I will say that there were other movies out there that I really enjoyed. Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle. If you haven't seen those two movies, watch them. They are so, so good. Really good. Really, really good. I can't stress this enough. They were incredibly good. You should watch them. Then, was wondering if you ever do any videos with the TGS members, such as Jesse, Dodger, Yogscast, and whoever else. This is from Metadeton. I would love to. I will definitely try do something with them in the future. The thing is, there's much less motivation for them to do videos with me right now because I'm a lot smaller than them, subscriber-wise. But hopefully, yes, I would absolutely love to. I'm not sure who I would be able to work better with, but I've actually got the sneaking suspicion that my personality might clash with some of theirs in the sense that it might just get a bit chaotic. Okay? And that's maybe a good thing. Maybe that's really, really good. But who knows? I will speak to them sometime soon about something like that. Who knows? I don't know if they'll say yes or not. But it's definitely something I've thought about, and that's one of the main reasons I joined the Game Station, because I really like the people in it. I think that there are some amazing members in the Game Station, and I really respect them, and I think that the work they do is really great. So we'll see, but that's definitely a yes on that. And let my phone lock again, so... good. It didn't go anywhere. Now... You once said you don't get, this is a weird question, you don't get money from the playthroughs and gameplays. Is it because in South Africa you can't use fair use on video games? I mean, you can't use it when you do commentary over it for educational purposes or review purposes. This is from Alahad. Now that's a funny question. Usually you need a license for that kind of thing. Fair use applies to using something and firstly not monetizing it. You use it as... It's difficult. I could sort of get away with some fair use stuff when it came to news episodes, because you reporting on something and it wasn't claimed in any way, it wasn't created specifically for a purpose like games are and stuff like that. There isn't copyrighted music in it and all sorts of things. It'd take too long to get into that. My boy, do you want to be seen on camera? Come here. Oh no, he says no, Daddy. He says no. Don't touch me, Daddy. Oh, should give you rubbles. Okay. He's probably going to lie down again. Yes, yes he is. He's just repositioning himself. Ooh, she's making a little nest. You guys are missing out big time here. But you did just see a bit of him in the corner here, so you know that I'm not fibbing. He's actually... What do you see, my boy? What is there? It's okay. It's okay. You guys want to see him? I'll show you. I will tilt the camera. Oh, look at that little puppy. You look so tired, my boy. You should probably just have a nap. Okay? Do it. He's asking, Daddy, what are you doing with that tripod? That's not how you're supposed to use a tripod. It's true. He's right. Not supposed to use it in that way. Okay. So, all the way down to the bottom again. Phone keeps scrolling. What was I even busy talking about? Oh yes, the game playthroughs. Generally on YouTube, you're going to only be able to put properly, like ads on your videos properly if the creators of the game specifically give you permission. Minecraft, Terraria. It's usually just the indie companies. The big game companies, they don't care. Okay? You can put your playthroughs up, but you're not going to put ads on them. If you want to put ads on videos, you should join a big network or something. Curse, TGN, TGS, Machinima, those ones. I recommend everything except Machinima. Okay. But that said, you can't really put ads on very many things, sadly. You can put ads on stuff like this. That's all entirely your own content that you made yourself, and you own the copyright to everything. Unless I've got like a radio blasting copyrighted music here, I should be able to put ads on this video. But once you join a big group like Machinima or TGS or TGN or Curse, I'm not going to say them all next time, then they will handle the licensing stuff for you. They've got licenses with Blizzard, Ubisoft, BioWare, all those people, and they've got permission to put ads on their videos. They've got sets of ads that they can use and blah, 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 and that makes it okay, and then they monetize the stuff for you. So that's the way it works. And if you're not a partner, if you're not partnered with a network or something like that, if you're just a partner with YouTube, which I was before I joined TGS, then it's much more difficult. I personally don't recommend it. It's stressful trying to speak to people to try and get permission. I actually mailed Ubisoft about putting ads on Beyond Good and Evil. Okay? And it was such a hassle that in the end I just didn't put ads on them. I got a reply from the head of Ubisoft Montreal or something like that. No, Ubisoft France. Okay? And I got a reply and he said, I would absolutely love it if you did a Beyond Good and Evil playthrough. Go ahead, you've got my permission to put ads on the stuff, you can monetize it, blah, blah, blah. But he just said that like in an email, and I couldn't use this as proof. Okay, I needed some document that was like signed and everything. Basically, it's too much hassle. So if you want to do something like that, then I recommend just starting up, and when you can, join a network. But make sure you understand the contract and everything else that goes with it, because usually you get locked into something there. But anyway, I spent a lot of time answering a question that I shouldn't really spend a lot of time. Anyway, this is another question from D, or should I say his full name? I think I should. From D555. Oh, it's 5 Ds. I get it. D5 12332. Wow, I just sussed his whole name out right there. D5. Right on. Okay, so I've got it. Have you ever thought of getting friends to play with you on Minecraft, Terraria, Diablo, or any other game? Yes and no. Like, I've thought of it, and it's not always the best idea. Okay, so I've got a friend to play Terraria and Minecraft with me. She's right there on the couch. And Diablo. When Diablo comes out, we are so playing Diablo together. Of course. Okay, so I don't mind playing with other people. I don't even mind doing dual commentaries. But at the same time, I don't want to rush into committing to doing dual commentaries with people that I'm not sure I'll get along with, not sure I'll click with. So I generally tend to stay solo with my stuff. If she decides she wants to do commentary one day, then fine, we'll make that work. But otherwise, I'm not going to rush into that kind of thing. I'm actually still new at the whole YouTube thing. So when I feel totally comfortable doing it, I'll probably go out and approach a few people. But on this topic of like having subscribers play with me, you guys, then it's something that we obviously want to do, but it's difficult. With Terraria, that's a really noisy vehicle out there. With Terraria, it's difficult because you can only have X amount of people on a server. With Minecraft, it's a little bit easier, but you still have to get hosting and a proper server and all that kind of stuff. And then if someone else hosts the server for you, is it really official? Is it really an official Lumin server? There's always that to think about. So it's another thing I can't just rush into. But when we have more resources at our disposal, when we've got more time to do stuff like that, then we'd like to do something like that. But as I said, it's something that, I'll always say this, something that I'm going to take my time with and make sure I do right. Then, this one is from Mr. Lampu. Mr. Lampu is one of our most enthusiastic, Mr. Lampu and D5, both of them actually. You guys are incredibly enthusiastic, you always leave the best comments. Not best as in I'd rate them at the top, but you leave amazing comments. Because I don't really rank comments in worst to best. Okay? I don't do that. No, all your comments are my favorite comments. So, do you use a rain meter, Lumin? That's such a weird question. Why would you ask that? The rain meter is actually right out there. Okay, if it wasn't so dark out there, you could probably see it. But I do. I don't personally use it very often. I don't go out there. I don't make it a thing to go out there and use it. By use it, I mean like check how much water is in it. But we've got a rain meter and I have no idea how it even works. I just know you empty it out when you've checked, like, oh, we've had 30 millimeters of rain. Wow, that's not very much actually. And we've had that in an amount of time that I didn't really properly record. So it doesn't matter knowing how much we had. That's how I feel about rain meters. If they're cool devices, but I don't know. Yes, we've got a rain meter, it's out there. And we actually get quite a bit of rain here. Because it's a coastal town, and it's, we sort of right by the sea, we get a lot of rain. We get some cool weather and stuff like that, so it's probably a good thing to have. Moving along. I can't believe we just spoke about rain meters. Good question. Good question, Lampu. I like it. When will Helene start commentating with you? Killer Stick 1. I think I answered that in the previous question, so take that as your answer. Ooh, this is an interesting question. This is from Molda22, and I like this. Do you only eat healthy food? Or do you sometimes enjoy even something like chocolate or crisps? Crisps are, we call them chips here. Okay? Chips here are fries and crisps. They both fall under the same word. You know what, they actually call them slap chips here, which is she's laughing about that. It's the Afrikaans name for them. If they're McDonald's, then I'll go out and call them fries, because slap actually means like floppy, floppy chips. Wow, that's amazing. So that's what they're called here, floppy chips, but we don't call them that, we call them slap chips. It's an Afrikaans word. But then chips isn't Afrikaans. You'd actually probably call it slap skyfies, and that doesn't sound good at all. I can't believe I'm thinking about things like this, because I shouldn't be. The language is terrible, okay? The language of Afrikaans, the words just sound so funny when you say them. But we weren't actually talking about crisps. Yes, we eat mostly healthy food. Our main meals consist of very healthy stuff. Every morning I eat oats. I will show you that. I will show you, that's actually another question, I'm going to actually say it right now. There was a question somewhere down here, will you show us a traditional South African meal? Yes, I will, and I'll show you what I eat for breakfast, I'll show you how I make a smoothie, stuff like that. Once I start recording normal vlogs again after my Guild Wars impressions video this week, then I'll start showing you stuff like that, because I think it's interesting. I'll show you what kind of breakfast I eat every single morning, and this is the kind of breakfast that I have to eat. I don't feel like I started my day off properly if I don't eat that, for some reason, I don't know why. Today was one of those days. I had Milo cereal this morning. Milo cereal. That's crazy. Why would I eat? I don't know. Usually we don't eat that for breakfast. We eat that for dessert because it's so nice. And my day just wasn't good because of that. It was good, but at the same time it just wasn't complete because I didn't have my oats this morning. So perhaps I'll actually eat oats after this to make up for the fact that I didn't eat oats earlier. I don't know. But our main meals are very healthy. Okay, we get enough vegetables in, enough proteins in, very few oils and fats and stuff. Healthy meals, lots of fresh stuff. But, of course we eat chocolate. Chocolate is actually healthy. She was reading up about how you should actually eat a block of dark chocolate every day if you can. Just a block. Preferably a big block, because it's much nicer. But I Hey, I like sweet stuff. I like chocolates. I like sweets. I don't actually like traditional sweets anymore. I like licorice. Chocolate, not so much. I'm not a big chocolate fan. I said earlier I was going to talk about Easter eggs, and I will. We've got these really amazing Easter eggs. They're called hen eggs, and they're white candy coated chocolate eggs. Hollow inside. They're like the size of a normal egg, basically, and they're very good. We've got a whole container full of them. There were 24 of them in there. It was on special, and we bought it. And we're eating right now like one of those a day. But as for crisps and stuff, yes. I do. Or, not so much nowadays, but we eat rusks sometimes. And as I said, cereal, we use that as dessert. But we definitely eat stuff like that. And it can be healthy if you don't eat too much of it. The only thing is don't eat too much of it and then you're fine. That's okay. Next question. I always wondered what your and Eileen's height is. This is from PBOI. Pubai. Pubai. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm butchering your nickname. I don't know what my height is. 170 something centimeters, I think. 1.72 meters. Maybe a bit shorter. Maybe a bit taller. Probably shorter. And she's probably at like 1.6. Around there. 1.6 meters. 160 centimeters. Around there. I'm not sure. We don't measure ourselves very often. I can tell you that I do weigh, if you wanted to know. I weighed myself today. 69 kilograms. Whew, look at that. Wow. Okay. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's how much I weigh. I'm not very tall. I'm quite sure that 170 centimeters or 1.7 meters is not very tall. Then, why does Nero hate sausage dogs? Why can't Nero and Slinky be friends? This is from Tyrant SC, and that's a very good question. I don't know. I really actually don't know why he doesn't like them. It might be because we've got a neighbor who has a sausage dog, and that little guy is annoying. He's noisy, he's always barking at Nero, he's always angry at Nero, he's an angry little guy. So maybe Nero just grew up having the wrong impression about sausage dogs, and because of that, he sort of grew to not really like them very much. Honestly, I don't know if it's hate is a very strong word. Okay, maybe he just wants to chase them around a bit, scare them. Okay, maybe he doesn't hate them because that's a strong word. But I don't know where it originated. I would say that what I said is probably the best explanation. That little guy next door, it's his fault. I blame him. I don't even know his name. I don't know. Then, you mentioned that when you went to Blizzard in California, you went to Hot Topic. What are some of your favorite things there? Game or band-based t-shirts and such. This is from Spinal Touch. Everything. Everything was so cool. I'm not a big fan of band t-shirts, but the game t-shirts were so good. I wish I could go back there sometime and just buy a ton of stuff. All the stuff there was cool. The little goodies, the little thingies. I don't even know what it was. Like their wallets and their little lanyards and caps and socks and hats and bags and everything in that shop was just way cooler than anything we can find here. So I liked it all. I liked it all. That's what I liked there. Next. If you could witness any event, past, present, or future, what would it be? This is from Captain C Blocker. Sort of ties in with what we spoke about last time. And I don't know. It's a tough choice. I want to be there when they invent the hoverboard. A real working one. Okay? It was supposed to be invented this year, I think. Or is it 2015? If Back to the Future had any truth to it, it's going to be soon. Hover cars, hoverboards, that's cool. But that's slightly lower key. Otherwise, I'd love to see when the first alien life is encountered, because it's totally ignorant to think that there's no other life out there, and they're probably out there somewhere. It's just going to take us some time to find them. So that would be cool to see. I'd like to... Oh, my favorite. I'd like to see when they make the first residential... that's what I'd like to be there to witness. And I think I might witness that in my lifetime. The first residential space station. Ha! That would be cool. Like when they build a base on the moon and people go live there. And they have like biodomes up in the moon, on the moon. When they can make an entire community up on the moon or on any other planet that they find, or just in space. That's what I want to see. I know it's sort of short-sighted and it's like, it's very stereotypical thing to choose, but that's the kind of thing I'm excited about. I think it would be a grand adventure going to live in space. I'm not sure Nero would enjoy it very much unless they make like big fields that he can frolic in, and like if they have some beaches and stuff up there, because he's sort of taken a liking to the beach. Stuff like that are essential for someone like Nero. So if they don't have that, then I'm probably not going up there. But still, it sounds like it could be fun. And that's something that I'd like to see. Then, let's see what else there was. This one's also from Captain C Blocker. Well done, man. What would you name the autobiography of your life? He asks, would it be Lumin the Adventurer? Yes, why not? That's an amazing name. Or Swen the Adventurer, or The Adventures of Swen. Lumin. The Adventures of Lumin. Swen. I don't know. I'm bad at choosing book names, but something with adventurer or adventures in. That's it. What irritates you, Captain C Blocker? Bad drivers. They're kind of irritating, aren't they? When you when you're trying to open like a juice box or like a milk thing, and then you pull on that little thingy and then it comes off, and then you're stuck there with no way of opening it. That's kind of irritating, isn't it? I think it's kind of irritating. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but long life milk boxes usually have those things on, and you like rip it and then it like comes off and you got this thing in your finger and the box is still closed. That's bad. That's actually really irritating. That irritates me. I don't know. That's about it. Those things, whew, they're bad. So, what's your biggest pet peeve? That's the same thing, I suppose. If you could have any item from, I suppose, yeah, that's the same thing. If you could have any item from any RPG game, what would it be? Clothing, armor type thing. This is from You Making Me Nervous. The little cloak from Lord of the Rings that the Hobbit used, that Frodo used, that the invisibility one. That's nice. Or just a glorious set of shoulder pads. I don't know if I'd be able to wear that nowadays, but that would be fun, wouldn't it? Or that helmet from Skyrim. Wow. The Thieves Guild armor from Skyrim, that would be nice as well. Wow. As for weapons, I don't know what I'd do with like a bow and arrow or a sword or something. Maybe I'd take a nice sword and frame it, or crossbow. A really big crossbow would look nice on my wall. Otherwise, I don't know. I'd like anything, any memorabilia would be quite fun. I could always go out and say that I'd want the portal gun, because I think that's what everyone would say, because that would be cool too. But I've never really thought about that. The bags from WoW, like the bag of endless pockets or whatever it's called. That would be really cool as well. I'd take that. That's not really an item, like, I suppose it counts. That's my answer. Now, another one from WoW now. You told us you worked for your father briefly. I added the briefly part. What does he do? Okay, so that's the first part of the question. When he worked here, he used to not die. He didn't do that very often, no. He hasn't done that at all yet. Okay, so he used to dry like plant materials, plants for medicinal purposes. And don't even let your mind go there, because I know you guys are thinking about that, and no, it wasn't like he wasn't drying weed or marijuana. Okay, he didn't dry that. It was stuff like, I'm not going to even try to tell you the names, but it was for medicine. Lots of different types of medicine. Some of it was for cancer treatment, some of it was just for stress, some of it was for weight loss. And he went out and he collected them in the field, or he got people to collect it for him. He brought it back here, he dried them in the factory and stuff like that. So I did sort of the same kind of stuff with him. Right now he is on a farm. They're running a wine farm, and actually other stuff as well. They've got lots of stuff on the farm. They planted almond trees. They've got a whole fruit orchard that they're busy planting or waiting for it to grow. They've got the vineyards, obviously, of grapes to make the wine. They've got saffron. They've got a bunch of the medicinal plants that he was using before planted there, or they was collecting before at least, planted there, and that kind of stuff basically. So you could call him a botanist. There you go. A botanist expanded, because he doesn't just do that kind of thing. But Nero is a bit of a botanist as well. He appreciates plant life. When we go on walks and stuff on the cliff paths, he's all about sniffing the plants. Probably not because of how they smell, but because of what dogs walk past them. But we'll pretend that he's a botanist and that he likes the plants. Because he looks like the kind of guy who would like them. And he looks like he's getting cold right now. There's a chilly breeze coming in here. I like it. Okay, next. I hope I'm not running out of time. This camera doesn't always record so long. I'm nearly finished. Okay, so why did you name your dog Nero, the Honzo? It's a cool name. It's an amazingly cool name. It was actually named after the Devil May Cry character Nero. Devil May Cry 4. That's why. And then somewhere here, there was one. I actually might have lost it somewhere, but if Nero is a female, what would you call him? We sort of spoke about that. Nera. There you go. Although, wouldn't that have worked? Isn't Nero maybe a girl name as well? I don't know. Maybe it's a boy name. Oh, there you go. It's from D5. Okay, it was the next question. I just didn't see it there because I'm bad at reading. Then, what do you feed your dog, Nero? This is from Thunder Smasher. That's a good question. Okay, we feed him pellets. Pellets are his favorite like food type. He's a man of simple tastes. It's much like his father, who likes his oats in the morning. Nero likes his pellets in the morning. His pellets are my oats. Same kind of thing. So, he likes pellets, we feed him that. Sometimes he gets boerewors, which is a type of sausage which I will show to you guys probably next weekend. The long April weekend. We're going to have a braai here, and I'll record some of that for you guys, show you what we're making. And he has a thing for that. Okay, he has a thing for that sausage. He goes totally crazy. When he even just smells that, he loses it. He flips. He goes mad. And he waits for his sausage. So he likes that. We feed him cookies, dog biscuits. Not cookies, dog biscuits. Stuff like that. Normal dog stuff, and he likes it. He does not want other stuff. He wants those things. If we feed him like any sort of leftovers in his food bowl, then he always thinks twice before he eats it. He's not very sure about it. He wants pellets. So, why did the chicken cross the road? This is from Commander 33. The answer is simple. To find grand adventure, of course. That's why. Then the next one, this is from Mr. Stein is Sublime. Will you show us a typical South African meal? I answered that before. Yes. Then, lastly, my question to you is, did my private message to you prompt you to start making these Q&As, or was it a coincidence? I can't remember. I honestly can't remember what your private message was. I would have gone back, but it would probably take me a half an hour to scroll through all the messages that I got in the last couple of months. So I started these a long time ago, and I'm not sure if it was prompted by anything. The main reason, I can tell you now, the main reason I think I started these and the vlogs was to get a partnership on YouTube, because they said to me I need original content, and this was original content, so I started it because of that. But I don't mind saying that it was your private message, Bumfrey. I don't mind saying it was that, because I can't remember. It could have been that. Who knows? So there you go. I hope that answers your question. But those are all the questions. That's the end. And that's my iPhone home screen again. So that's going to be it for this Lumin Weekly. Check back here soon for more. I am still just going to say, leave any questions about anything you'd like, be it about South Africa, about the lady over there on the couch. You can't see her right now, but she's over there. Be it about Nero Puppy, because he's well worth asking questions about. He's just too handsome. Would you like to see him again? I think you would. Just before we finish this off. Oh, look at that. He's so handsome. Okay, so you can ask questions about anything, about games. It's probably better to ask gaming related stuff, because I can talk much more about that. There's much more to say about gaming related stuff. So if you want to ask my opinion on maybe recent happenings, maybe not so much. Well, by next week there'll be so much April Fool's stuff to talk about that you could probably go crazy with that. But there are a lot of interesting things happening in the gaming world that you can talk about. Anything. I don't care. I don't mind. I'll try to answer all of them. Eventually, I'm probably going to have to start cutting them down a bit and answering only a couple, because these episodes are getting a bit long, but I'll see what I can do. So, that's going to be it for this episode. Check back soon for more. Most importantly, though. Oh. Happy Nero Puppy Nap Nap. Because that's a dog trying to get some serious sleep in. Happy that.